Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Fenton, for coming before us today to answer our questions and hear from us. In your testimony, you aptly discuss, of course, FEMA's roles in supporting our heroes, the National Guard, expanding vaccine access, and these are no doubt some very important parts of the work that you're doing. However, I am incredibly disappointed that Iowa has yet again been forgotten in all of this. There's no mention of the 2020 derecho that wiped out much of my district. Your testimony specifically states operating in overlapping disaster environments creates additional challenges within already complex mission requirements. So in my mind, surely the massive weather event that devastated Iowa in the middle of a pandemic deserves your attention as well. The same farmers who were keeping our country fed and fueled, keeping our domestic supply chains operational during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic were severely harmed by the derecho. It was like a 1-2 punch for my district, and yet my constituents have had nothing but difficulty in getting FEMA's assistance. In particular, when they've, for example, asked for extensions for relief applications, they've been denied a simple extension by a bureaucrat in the middle of their lives being literally ripped apart. So it's incredibly insulting to the people in my district. It's insulting to Iowans that you'd come before us today and claim that the agency responded successfully to each of these natural disasters. You don't mention the derecho. This is after my team informed yours that I would be questioning you on that subject today. So for scale, NOAA's, the NOAA's official report, which, Madam Chairman, I would like to enter into the record,
So be it.
states that approximately an estimated 90% of structures in Cedar Rapids sustained some sort of damage from the storm, and more than 1,000 homes were destroyed. So it's in that report. And Iowans found themselves quarantined during this public health crisis with houses without power. They had holes in their roofs, no access to medicine or local pharmacies. It was terrible and is still terrible. And Iowans need support during this pandemic. They need it doubly so in the wake of the derecho. My district still needs serious assistance. And again, this is all on top of the strife brought by the pandemic, job losses, isolation, extreme mental health stress, and our kids included in that. And so now many families are having to deal with deciding whether or not they're going to put food on their family tables, removing hazardous trees, or repairing their roofs. So at this point, I see that to be completely unacceptable for my district. So my first question to you, Mr. Fenton, will you commit to me here today to stop forgetting Iowans and prioritize this relief for my constituents back in Iowa?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Congresswoman Hinson. And I think my testimony was focused at the time that I've been acting administrator of FEMA, which has been a short period. But I'm glad to get with you and your team and look into that event and look at what else assistance we could provide that we haven't provided. I know that we've provided about $47 million in individual assistance and public assistance so far there, plus significant more money from the COVID disaster that we've funded. But I'm glad to work with you and see what areas and what gaps may exist.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're getting on board with prioritizing relief for Iowans. And the other thing I would ask you here today is, will you help commit to granting much needed extensions for Iowa's local governments on derecho relief applications? As I mentioned, this is a 1-2 punch, and we really need to make sure that they have the time necessary, compounded by the pandemic in the middle of a natural disaster. So will you commit to granting extensions for our local governments?
Yeah, I'm committed to work with you and all states that need assistance to disasters. We want to help everyone equitably. So I need to see what the issues are. I don't know specifically what grant application extensions you're talking about, but I'm glad right after this to work with you on those.
All right, our office will be following up, and thank you for, again, coming before us and the work that you are doing. I do want to note as well that many of the FEMA workers on the ground have done an incredible job. We talked a little bit about morale earlier, and they have done an incredible job on the ground. I think the frustration comes from when our constituents are looking to Washington for answers and they're not getting them from here. So I would ask you to commit to that, and thank you so much for your time, Mr. Fenton. Madam Chair, I yield back.